Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thanks for joining us. When it comes to information in our modern age, I think social media is probably one of the worst as far as putting out just fake stuff. I'm not saying the government doesn't do it too. In fact, the government is well known for putting out a whole bunch of fake stuff that's not real at all. But when we find people in the prepping community putting out false information, I hope you understand it hurts us. It hurts us all because it makes us look like idiots or conspiracy theorists or, people just making stuff up. Well, that's the problem is some people do make stuff up. I want to jump into a video. I'm not going to show you the video itself, but clips from this guy who put information out, and you have to see what he put out. And it's very clever how he put the information out there, making it look like, well, let's go ahead and jump into it. Here's the clips. It's actually from TikTok. Now, I just did some screenshots, and it's interesting because it says his name is James Bishop, but it's from the TikTok channel called Dennis Leonard 123. But who is he in reality? I really don't know. And actually, I don't care because the information he put out is very deceiving. And it's funny. This first clip says, well, it's story time. And that's true. It is story time, made up stories. And right here, he says in 2019, we have a chart for the U.S. of breast cancer, showing the numbers of how many women who have gotten breast cancer in 2019. And he looks specifically at breast cancer out of the 4 major cancer groups. But age-wise, he really wanted to focus on anybody younger than 45. Then he went into detail explaining why. He said, typically younger than 45, you don't see a lot of cancers. I mean, there's specific age groups you do see cancers, but it's actually, in reality, more rare. The older you get, the higher chances you have of getting cancer. Keep that in mind. And he says, I'm going to be honest, I work in the medical field. That really doesn't impress me. I mean, I'm not even saying doctors have it all figured out. They don't. Just because you work in the medical field doesn't make you an all-encompassing expert in medicine, or in this case, statistics. So he's looking at specifically breast cancer for the female category. And just FYI, men can get breast cancer, by the way. It's just exceedingly rare compared to females. Because I care more about our females. They populate the earth. It takes two to tango, buddy. It's not just females. And I'm not mocking women. I have an incredibly high regard and respect for women. But what a stupid statement. It takes two to populate the earth. All right, so here we are, nuts and bolts. In 2019, there were 26,660 cases of breast cancer for women under 45. And I will tell you, this graph he puts up here it's difficult to read. So here's the real graph. And sure enough, women 45 and younger and 26,660. And then he says 2020, same chart. He circled the same column. And in 2020, same age group, younger than 45, 26,500. And then 2021, same website, same chart. Looking at the bottom, same age group, younger than 45, 26,510. So far, so good. We can easily verify his information. And yep, those are the numbers. And notice that basically between those 3 years, the numbers are pretty equivalent. Then he looks at the year 2022, and he looks a little perplexed. And he's saying the numbers are now 47,000, as his head conveniently covers up the information you can't read very well anyway. And he says there's a sudden spike that's doubled. Here's the real chart. And sure enough, here's the numbers down here, 47,000. But look what's changed here. This is no longer younger than 45, but now younger than 50. And that's important to know because understand, as I mentioned, that the higher you go in age, especially when you get into these ages, well, guess what? It's an exponential line. You see a drastic increase in the amount of cancers. Now, I'm not saying that 5-year gap is going to be simply just enough to double the numbers. That still seems a little, curious. I go ahead and put that. But we do have answers for that in a minute too. So even though he's saying the numbers have doubled, that's not true at all because now we've added on 5 years. And why do they do that, by the way? That's why I question. Maybe the people who are putting the stats up there are trying to fudge the numbers or make it look a little bit better or worse. I don't know. But either way, his numbers are not quite accurate because we're not looking at the same age group anymore. And then 2023. He says, well, they don't have the same chart because, well, the numbers aren't done yet. But either way, now he says, if you look all the way to the bottom, female breast cancer cases for 2023, 297,000. And there's the fear. When I first watched this video, I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. And of course, he references why these numbers are so high because of some things have happened in the last 3 years, which I can't mention on YouTube. And I was like, holy cow, this is huge. And the person who sent it to me, I said, this is amazing. But you know what? What I love to do, let me check on these numbers myself. And I sure am glad I did. Now he claims, again on here, that they don't have the same chart out yet, but that's not true at all. Here's the real chart. And it's simply, if you look at the bottom, it says this is estimated. Now it's still younger than 50, and the numbers are still relatively the same. They estimate 48,780 this year. So the numbers have not changed. Where did he get the 297,000, by the way? right here on the left-hand side. Now that number includes all ages. But yet, for some odd reasons, well, not some odd reason, he did this specifically to try to raise people, get them all ticked off and stuff. He completely skewed the numbers. Now, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention. He's in the medical field, but maybe he doesn't understand math and statistics, or maybe he lied purposely to try to get people to watch his little TikTok channel. Being on TikTok is not a solution anyway. Anyway, these numbers are completely not true at all. But this is interesting. I mean, I do want to go ahead and look at this real quick, because when we talk about as far as these numbers go, this number of 297,000 every year, practically speaking, remains the same. The breast cancer numbers have not gone up. They have not gone down, statistically even keeled. But he completely missed something on here that is something we should take a look at. Going back to the first chart in 2019, look at the amount of prostate cancer, 174,000. 2020, 191,000. 2021, 248,000. 2022, 268,000. And finally, 2023 projected 288,000. That's incredible. Think about this. Back in 2019, we were close to, not quite there, twice as many female breast cancer patients compared to prostate cancer patients. But in 2023, notice prostate has caught up, and now there's almost equal amounts. And so looking at the math, that's something that concerns me. You know, it's interesting because he said, oh, females repopulate the earth. It takes male and female to populate the earth. And what do we see here? We're seeing a drastic increase in prostate cancer. Got to have the guy for repopulation as well. All right, anyway, obviously I'm making a little fun with that statement and this whole thing. And again, I'm not going to completely say this guy is lying, but he might be. The important part and the moral of the story is this. Just because you hear something on TikTok or YouTube, or especially mainstream media, you need to do your own research. And when I hear things, especially over the last 3 years taking place, I get very cautious and very skeptical and say, oh my gosh, look what's happening here. But what I say all the time when it comes to prepping and preparedness, we need to take a step back, and we need to look at this with a level head in everything. And if you come across anything like this, by the way, send it to me. I love to try to debunk things. Not that I like debunking things specifically that's actually on my side as far as arguments go, but we need to be able to stay unified in this. We need to be able to stand together, and when we present information, it better be factual. And one of the things, by the way, that we look as far as factual information, a real statistic is when we talked about the amount of processing plant fires that took place over the last couple of years. And people would come and say, oh no, processing plant fires take place all the time. And that's true. But statistically, we're seeing a much higher number now than we did in the past few years, statistically. So keep that in mind. I'll always look at the statistics, look at outliers, see what's actually happening here. And I'm sorry, whatever this guy's name was, please stop putting out crap information. It's not helping our cause. Anyways, put in the comments below what you think about this whole thing, and hopefully you found this to be very helpful. Thanks for watching.